Hi, welcome to Kepler University's introductory basic course in journalism. Call it Journalism 101. I'm Walt Putnam, and I'll be your instructor. I have experience. I've been with the AP, the Associated Press, for 30 years, recently retired. So I feel like I know a thing or two about reporting. That's what we're going to discuss today, because the basics of journalism is reporting. To be a reporter, you have to ask yourself what it is you hope to accomplish. And there could be a lot of answers to that question. But to answer any of them, to accomplish anything, you're going to have to ask yourself what it is you want to report, what it is you want to write about, or record a video about. There's nowhere to begin other than to say, what interests me? As a reporter, you need to ask that first basic question. What is the most interesting thing that I observe today? And that's your starting point. Your measure of success as a journalist, as a reporter, will be to interest other people with what interests you. If other people find it as interesting as you do, then you will be successful. Now, there are other aspects of it as well. It's almost like being a buyer in a department store. After a point, a buyer can't just buy clothing, for example, that appeals to him or her. He has to have a taste, an idea of what will appeal to other people, even if it doesn't appeal to him. But the basic framework is you have to have it appeal. It has to be of interest to yourself and others. I can remember when I was a City Hall reporter early in my newspaper career, more than 35 years ago. I was assigned to cover City Hall and was amazed at the number of things that I was interested in. At first, I kind of followed the conventional pattern of City Hall coverage. Cover the city council meetings, write about the policy decisions that the council members are taking. But then I discovered there was a fascinating world, a fascinating bureaucracy behind the public meetings. In talking to individuals in various departments around the city government, I found things that interested me that turned out also to interest my editors and interested the reading public. For example, in talking to the director of the Pollution Control Division, just in a chat, very much like the chat we're having now, I discovered that he had found a local hamburger chain, one of their restaurants in downtown, for air pollution from their charcoal grill. Now, this might not have been the most significant thing going on, but it was fascinating to me. It was interesting. It was the sort of thing that I thought anyone could relate to, because everyone's familiar with the hamburger chain. Everyone's familiar with the fact that they cook over their charcoal grill. And the very idea that they had been fined, it wasn't much of a fine, but that the city official had opted to fine them, is something that was interesting. It was interesting to me, and it was interesting to others. And that was the model that I began to use throughout my journalism career. Now, in the course of our conversation, I'll be giving lectures on various topics. As I said, this was basic reporting in Journalism 101. You'll have the opportunity to respond, to ask questions. We'll take some of the most interesting questions, the most significant questions, and we'll cover those in the next lecture. But I just want you to keep in mind that everyone is curious. Everyone finds things of interest. So everyone has the potential of being a good reporter. You do it already. You observe things. You have conversations with people, and you relate the most interesting elements of those conversations or in those observations to other people that you meet. How was work today? What'd you do in school? Automatically, you begin to respond with the things that are at the forefront of your mind. The reason they're there is because those are the things that you find most interesting. Chances are they're also the things that other people will find to be of interest. Now, that's not always going to be the case. Some people are boring. You might find me boring now. I certainly hope not. But as we work together, I'll hope you'll find more interest, if that's the case. I hope you'll find more interest in what I have to say, because it's very important to your success as a reporter working in the field of journalism. The successful ones are always the ones who can find things that others are going to be interested in hearing about and learning about. So that'll be our focus throughout the course. I hope that you will have questions, that you'll be able to provide feedback, and that I'll be able to answer the questions that you have. But I want you also to keep it in the front of your mind, this key idea, this key notion of your interest and the public interest. We'll go into more detail in that later, in other lectures. But I do want to take this time to point out that it's more than just the subject matter itself that you find interesting, but also to find the most interesting aspect of that. In your writing, once you have the subject, a topic that you're interested in, you develop the research, you find out what it is that you want to say, and you go about to tell it. The key is to find the most interesting detail, the most interesting thing that you have to say, and put it right at the beginning. Put it right there at the top in the lead of the story. The most interesting details will capture the interest of the reader, assuming that they're interested in it too, and draw them into the story and allow you to explore the topic in detail. So, keep in mind this one key interest. What interests you? What are you curious about? Go out there, explore, research, observe, and then report. Report the most interesting things that you find, and you'll be successful. Remember, make sure that you email your questions to ksu.com, and attention it to me, Walt Putnam, and I'll answer them in detail in our next session. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.